Hello guys, going to be going over the Week 3 NFL main slate on DraftKings. So I'm going to go over cash first, and then we'll get to GPPs. For cash games and quarterback, the first guy I'm going to talk about is Josh Allen at 7K. This is too cheap for Josh Allen, someone who has rushing upside. And we're looking at his first 2 weeks. They haven't been good, but you look at the matchups of the Steelers and the Dolphins. He definitely has had some struggles. You just look at the accuracy, that's not great, but again, tough matchups both ways. The Washington football team, they're also a good defense, but they didn't show it. They haven't been that good, actually. They've underperformed. And with the football team now without Ryan Fitzpatrick, this game, sure, it could get ugly, but Josh Allen's definitely going to do or put in some work before they start just running the ball with Zach Moss and Singletary. So I'm liking Josh Allen. He should be able to throw or run for more touchdowns. He still hasn't had a rushing touchdown, actually, and being at home at 7K, I just think that he's going to be a really good cash game QB. And then a value option for cash will be Justin Fields. So everyone's going to be on this guy, but it's for good reason. This guy, in the limited amount of time that he got in the previous 2 weeks, he was basically running the ball a whole lot. Like you look at week 2, he was at 10 rush attempts, and now you get him starting. Dalton is out, so it's not that Justin Fields is just starting ahead of Dalton, and that just makes Fields his job more secure. Like if you compare to some other situations in the past where we've seen maybe there you go QB change in the middle of the game. So I do think that if the Bears are struggling, Justin Fields will have the support. The coach will be patient with him. He'll be on the field, and so a running quarterback at 5,200 is just pretty much a steal. The Browns, they're not a bad defense. They're pretty solid actually, but just a running QB gives you so much more of a floor that makes it so great for cash. And then just talking about Justin Fields, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college. He holds the ball for a long time, which it could lead to more sacks, but he has a speed. He can definitely keep plays alive with his legs. So I like him. I think he's definitely the best cash game for value, at least for QBs. Now, going on to running backs. So Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook look like to be two of the popular plays. Obviously without CMC on the main slate. So I'm talking about Henry first. At 8,600, he is the home favorite against the Colts here. Colts, Carson Wentz could possibly be playing. Maybe it's Jacob Eason. We don't know yet, but the Titans are going to be favored here, and he is getting targets. Now, I think the ownership is definitely a lot higher than where it should be just because of his monster game last week, but we can't just ignore that he's still in a great spot this time. I'm definitely going to just say that he's not going to get that many points again, but Derrick Henry is just a beast. If he's getting pass game work, which he has in the past 2 games, this guy is going to be really pretty much one of the cash plays now. Because back then we didn't really want to play this guy just because he wasn't getting the cash or the pass game work. But now that he is, again, just it makes him such a better play, a lot safer really for cash. Now for the next guy, so I mentioned Dalvin Cook. He's currently questionable. We don't know if he's going to play or not. He didn't participate in Friday, which is not good, but he gets read in the blurb there. Just because he's a stud, it's like Hopkins too. They don't really need to practice. They can still play just because they're the star players. They don't need to do that. And I think it's the same thing with Henry. Just because people saw that the Seahawks got crushed on the ground by Henry, they think that Dalvin Cook can do the same thing. Now, I think it's an easy pivot off of Cook. Now, obviously, if he's out, well, then people are just going to go to Madison, and Madison's going to be chalk. But I think you can definitely leverage off of this. But because this is cash, if you want to play Cook, play him. I would prefer Derrick Henry, though. Even though I forgot to mention this Titans Colts game could be really slow, but for a running back, it's not as much of a concern as opposed to maybe a QB or a wide receiver and tight end. And then looking cheaper for cash games, Saquon Barkley, 6,500. This guy doesn't actually look to be too chalky, but I think he's definitely a cash game play. He's come back from injury, so yes, he's definitely priced down for that, but he is in one of the greatest spots that a running back could be in for this week. He's also a home favorite, 6,500. He will get pass game work. The Giants look to be pretty healthy this week. Golladay, Ingram both should be in, so they're going to have their full offense here, and that's going to be more efficiency for this entire team. And I think Saquon's going to look really good here. He played 83% of the snaps last week, and so yeah, I just love Saquon here. I think he's a cash game play. He's also a very good tournament play because his ownership is not there right now. And then cheaper guys, so gotta have to talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So at 4,800, He is basically, he was the talk of the media. Everyone on social media was talking about how he fumbled and he lost that game. But I mean, when you're talking about the running back number one on the best offensive team in the NFL at only 4,800 with that gigantic price decrease, I mean, as much as this guy doesn't get targets just because Patrick Mahomes doesn't really trick down that much, you still have to consider the price. And when you look at Clyde, at 4,800, he can just get, he's going to get goal line work. I know Daryl Williams, I think the backup running back, Daryl Williams, he did get goal line touch, so that's a little bit concerning, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still going to be the running back number one on this team. And I just think that you can't really say that, oh, it's a one bad week, one bad game, a fumble, costly fumble, that you're not going to play this guy because something that points in favor, obviously, is that they're a home favorite. And then, even though I said that Mahomes doesn't target the running backs a lot, the Chargers' defense actually allows a lot to the running backs in terms of receptions. And so maybe that leads to Mahomes checking down more. He can get maybe like three. Now, he was targeted 3 times in week 1. Maybe he can get that. And also, maybe the Chiefs just want to focus on giving CH more touches. They want to get him going. That's a possibility. He was supposed to be a very good running back coming into the year last year. So I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire at this price tag, definitely you can play him in cash. Now for wide receivers, I'm going to go back to all the games. So Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. These guys are in a great environment here. This is going to be a very high-scoring game, one of the highest totals on Slate. And people are kind of liking Metcalf, but I have to say that I prefer Lockett. And now the reasoning is because of the matchups. Tyler Lockett should be getting Rashawn Breeland, and then Metcalf will get Pat Peterson. So people are thinking that it's actually the other way around, and Pat Peterson is the guy that is better than Breeland. Breeland is currently the worst graded qualified quarterback by PFF so far this season, and so if you look at, obviously that's going to make Lockett one of the best plays, but Metcalf is getting the ownership because people think he's getting Breeland. And in that case, I'm just going to want more Lockett. Now, if ownership is more flipped, then I would flip that too, because I just think both these guys are going to be very good plays. It's kind of hard because they don't really both go off on the same week. But for cash, again, Lockett usually is more safer. Metcalf has the higher upside, more boom bust. And then the other guys, they're just the other duo, so Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. People are definitely liking Cooper Kupp because he just had a monster game against the Colts. And now against the Bucks, this game should also be very high scoring. And Stafford, Kupp, they look to be just very gelling very well so far. His price is up, but I think this is still a very affordable price for Cooper Kupp. And if you can get there, sure, 6,800. He looks like to be just a very good cash game play. And then another duo, so the Bucks. Other side, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, because Antonio Brown will be out for this game. And even though the Rams do have a very good defense, same with the Bucks, but Bucks are kind of more of a pass funnel. So the Rams, they will be going against Tom Brady, which Tom Brady can basically carve up any defense. So I'm not scared about going up against this Rams D. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they're gonna be getting more targets, and I prefer Godwin because of him just playing more of the slot. It's easier for him to get touches, and also he definitely has been more of a safer guy. He's also saving 200, and so I think for tournaments you can definitely flip that. But cash games, I want Godwin. And then for a value guy, I'm going to talk about KJ Osborne. So he's had 2 very good games so far. He's getting the targets. He had a long one though last game, so he still had that. You can't just take it away from him, but don't expect this consistency to continue. Again, this is a very good matchup, high-scoring game, but KJ Osborne can easily take a back seat when Thielen, especially Justin Jefferson, when he starts to put in work. So Osborne for value, but I think Mecole Hardman could definitely be that pivot guy if you're looking for a sub 4K guy. Now on to tight ends. So I think usually people like to pay down in cash, so that's going to be Tyler Higbee. At 4,000, Tyler Higbee disappointed last week. He had 1 catch. This should not happen again. Again, this is a very easy matchup. Stafford, very good quarterback against the Bucks. This game's going to be high scoring, and Tyler Higbee, he has played 100% of the snaps, both weeks. He's going to get more targets, and he's going to be a end zone target as well. So I like Tyler Higbee, especially if you're not able to get to Cooper Woods or playing other receivers in different games. Then you play Tyler Higbee, get some exposure to that there. Now defense. So if for a 3K guy, I'm going to talk about our 3K team, Cardinals. At 3K against Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is going to be throwing a lot probably just because the Jacksonville Jaguars have to keep up with Kyler Murray. And when you talk about more throws, that leads to more sacks, more interceptions, more turnovers. So that's going to help Arizona. And then for a cheaper guy to your team, the Titans, 2,400 against the Colts. We don't know if Wentz is starting or not. If Wentz does start, then you're talking about an injured quarterback with 2 bad ankles. And maybe they run the ball more. That's definitely a concern. This is also a very slow game. But they shouldn't allow a lot of points. You want turnovers though, so that's what would be my main concern. But Jacob Eason, if he's able to start, then maybe they throw more. But I do think that Colts are just going to be trying to run the ball as much as they could, more short past the tight ends and stuff. So that's my concern. But 2,400 is definitely too cheap for the Titans against the Colts in this spot. Now for tournaments, so looking back onto quarterback, I know Patrick Mahomes, everyone knows that he's great, but for every week though, his ownership just is not there. And this game, though, the Chargers should be able to keep up, and that's going to force Mahomes to throw. So it's going to be very hard because for tournaments, you're going to have to stack. But Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, they're going to cost you a lot. But of course, if you can get there, you do that. 8,200, 8,200, 8,400. Very hard to do, but there is some value, especially for the Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then you can get one like KJ Osborne. You stack Nickel Hardman with Mahomes, that's something that I can easily do. Or DeMarcus Robinson, but I prefer Hardman. And then Russell Wilson, other tournament guy. So, yeah, it's easy because you just stack them with Metcalf or Lockett. You can do both, but I would say maybe you pick one just because for some reason both of them don't really go off. And then if you want a double stack, you can go with Gerald Everett, who was getting a lot more targets, and I'll talk about him later at tight end. But yeah, I think just looking at tournaments, you definitely want guys that do have some rushing upside that are in high total environments, and I think that Russell Wilson can definitely give you that. Now the tournaments. So Austin Eckler, 7,200. I actually think this guy could be a cash play because he's script proof. And so the Chiefs have been actually allowing a lot of easy runs for running backs. And even if they're going to be behind, they're going to keep Eckler on the field at all times. And or not at all because they do use other running backs, but Eckler will be in there a whole lot, getting a lot of opportunities. And 9 targets, maybe we don't see that again, but if they're going to be chasing, Eckler is going to get a lot of looks. You don't need to worry about 9 rushes. He'll get there. And PPR, it's excellent for Eckler. So 7,200 in this game environment, I really like him. And then other guys, Chris Carson. This is, again, tournament. So if you have chalky Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, then Chris Carson is the way to get different. That maybe they don't throw the ball as much, these touchdowns come from the ground, and that's how Chris Carson is going to be that good play then. And he's going to be low on because he just doesn't get pass game work. So I think Carson's a very nice pivot for tournaments. And then this guy, no one's going to play him, but James Robinson. 5,700, he looks like to be the guy again in terms of the running back number 1. He does get pass game work, not a lot. This is also not going to be the same player as he was last season. But his price is down, and this is going to be a fast-paced game. So Jaguars most likely chasing. They're going to be at home. Maybe that can help the Jaguars offense a little bit. But yeah, James Robinson wouldn't be surprising if he wouldn't put up a very good game, and he's just cheap. Now for wide receivers, we're going to look at Justin Jefferson. So a lot of people looks like to be on Dalvin Cook, and the Seahawks run defense has not been good this year. But again, if you look at what they've been doing last year, the Seahawks were actually a solid run D, and they have been a pass funnel. So if that reverts, Justin Jefferson is going to be a very good option at 7,200 because Thielen has been getting all the touchdowns, KJ Osborne has been emerging, but Justin Jefferson, this is a stud, and there's going to be a time, and probably this week it's going to happen, 20 plus, maybe he can get 30 to get points. This is an excellent matchup for the Vikings, and Justin Jefferson isn't getting that much ownership, and also his price is just really affordable, really, for the kind of talent that he has. So Justin Jefferson, one of my favorite wide receivers on the slate for tournaments. And then A.J. Brown, Julio Jones. I prefer A.J. Brown, but again, just the same thought process. If people are going to be on Derrick Henry, you want the pass game option. And as I mentioned, this game is very concerning for the pace, and also if they do have to start Jacob Eason, this can be out of hand early. But A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, they both have monster upside, and just a way to get different for tournaments. They should be low owned, so that's what you look for. And then Mike Williams, 6,400. People are probably going to be on Keenan Allen, and I'm going to say Keenan Allen is the better play. But when talking about tournaments, ownership matters. And Mike Williams, his ADOT is a lot lower. This year, he's not just being used as a deep threat, and so that's going to make Mike Williams just a much more consistent play. And so he's still going to have that same kind of tournament winning upside, but he's going to have a little bit higher of a floor. It's going to help a lot, really, especially in this game environment. So I like Mike Williams as a low-end tournament play. And then Chase Claypool. So without Deontay Johnson, Ben Roethlisberger's favorite target. This is a divisional matchup, so it should be pretty low-scoring defensive battle. But Bengals defense hasn't looked good, and when you take out Deontay Johnson, the targets are going to have to go somewhere. And Deontay usually is a guy that gets 10 plus targets, so I really like Claypool. I think Juju is very good as well, but Claypool does have the better matchup for this week, so I'm going to favor Claypool. He's also just a guy who has a lot of upside. Juju usually gets more receptions, but Claypool, bigger guy, more touchdown, end zone looks. So I think Claypool looks like a very good tournament option. And then Mecole Hardman. So he is the wide receiver number 2. Now, he's not number 2 option, though, because Kelsey's on that team. But Mecole Hardman, he is ahead of DeMarcus Robinson. But for some reason, Robinson's actually priced ahead of him. But Hardman, this guy is going to win a tournament at some point because his price is too cheap. And it's easy to double stack. You get Mahomes, you get Tyreek, or you play Kelsey with Hardman. So, again, just a cheap stack. I like Hardman a whole lot. So that's going to be the value option. Now, tight end, I'm not even going to talk about Kelsey because we know how great he is. But for other guys, Pitts, 4,900. This guy's just running a lot of routes. He's basically a wide receiver and a tight end. So I'm going to keep just having interest in him because the Falcons are likely going to be throwing a whole lot this year. So Pitts, at some point, is going to have a big game. And I'm not saying that just keep playing him, but this is definitely a spot that he can play in still, just because he's still really affordable. And then lower owned guys. So Austin Hooper, 3,600. Jarvis Landry is out, and that is their slot receiver. Odell Beckham Jr. will be back, but he's probably going to be on a limited snap count. And when you take out Landry, who is the lower ADOT, Austin Hooper, just as a tight end, he's going to be closer. He's going to be able to get more short throws. And I think Hooper, they've mentioned about him how he's going to be more involved this year. It hasn't really shown, but I do think Hooper's going to have a very good game, and he's really affordable. Like, he's talented. This price is definitely cheap for him. And then Gerald Everett, so as I mentioned before, just 3K. If you really need a cheap guy, go with Everett. He is now the basically receiver or tight end number 1 on this team. So last week, looking at it, he actually played 74% of the snaps, much more than Will Dissly. He ran 21 routes. He is probably touchdown dependent because he's not going to get a whole lot of touches, but Russ Wilson does like to look for his tight end in the end zone, so that's definitely a plus for Gerald Everett. And then on to defense, so the mid 3K guy, our 3K team, is going to be the Raiders, so 3,400. Tua is out, so they're going to be playing a backup quarterback in Tyrod Taylor, or not, Jacoby Brissett, I mean. So the Raiders' Max Crosby has been the leading pressure. He's brought the most pressure in terms of all of the defensive players so far in the first 2 weeks with 19. So Brissett's going to be in trouble, and the Raiders' defense are playing at home. They're going to be favored. So if we're setting up a little bit, Raiders. And then for a little bit cheaper of an option, I'm going to talk about the Bengals here. So 2,100 against Big Ben. Big Ben, we know he likes to hold the ball a long time. They're trying to run more, but when you take out Deontay Johnson, his favorite target, he likes to go to him a lot. This could just mean more stacks. And again, with the low-scoring game, because it's a division game, that's going to help allow less points. And also the Bengals defense, they're not great, but just the matchup, Ben Roethlisberger just has not looked good. So if you're trying to punt with defense, I think the Bengals at 2,100 is the best option for all these cheap defenses down here. So yeah, that's going to be the breakdown for cash and tournaments. And I'm recording this Friday, so there's going to be a lot of injury news we still have to wait on, like Dalvin Cook, Hopkins, but I'll make sure to update you guys on my Twitter at Ballphones, link over the description below, and also I'm going to tweet out that game-by-game breakdown that I did last video, but I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to tweet those out, my notes for it on Twitter, so give me a follow there. I'm going to be posting that maybe tonight or tomorrow. So thank you guys for watching again, and good luck on the site, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.